Asset protection planning is an integral part of any family's wealth plan. We at Strazzeri Mancini help families with their asset protection. Asset protection is often considered in a vacuum. One of our clients may have gone out on the internet and found a vast amount of information on asset protection. And they may even found an expert who only does asset protection. The problem with doing asset protection in a vacuum is that it affects income tax planning, or the amount of tax you pay. It affects your estate plan. It affects the business plan. It affects the ability to borrow and or be able to qualify for credit in the future, and or somebody be able to access you or your assets.
And unfortunately, that individual who goes to the internet and is looking for asset protection is looking for probably a reason, probably a good reason, but maybe a little bit late. Asset protection should be something that's thought of in the normal course of business planning and estate planning.
It's also a lot of people come to us with asset protection as a goal, like it's a thing, and they don't understand it's literally a continuum.
Business owners often use asset protection too. They formed some sort of a corporation, an LLC, a limited partnership, an entity. Sure, there's choosing another jurisdiction, another state, or another country. There are layered plans that you can have for asset protection. Choosing the right one for you is dependent on your circumstances, or our clients, and dependent upon your risk, your tolerance to complexity and tax reporting. So there are many experts that might say, well, this is the way to do it. All my clients should do it this way. We understand that the way to do it for that client will differ for each one, and you'll use a different strategy. We may enlist the help of other experts, because as we teach across the country to industry experts, we find ones that have special niches.
You know, when you're talking about going to other jurisdictions, a lot of people don't really get that when they come in. And when you talk about that, to the extent you might use a different jurisdiction because of the better laws for creditor and asset protection, what goes hand in hand with that I think you have to talk to them about is the possibility for dynasty planning. Because a lot of these other jurisdictions have laws which will allow that to go on for much longer than in common law states such as California.
So Steph, you were talking earlier about our process to help with this. It blends in with our regular wealth strategies process, right?
Right. I think that the most important part of our process is really narrowing down on the client's tolerance for lack of control or what their goals really are. And I think that our process really helps clarify goals of the client, exactly what they want, what they need in their lives, and what they're basically willing to put up with to be able to get a level of asset protection they're comfortable with.
That's that ceiling of complexity Joe was talking about. They may want this level of protection, but they don't want to have to do the things that are required to gain that level of protection. And a lot of times it's not needed to have that level of protection. And that's why the counseling and why understanding what their real situation is as opposed to what they think they want when they walk in the door is so important.
Considering the income tax ramifications, the estate planning ramifications, and the day-to-day running of a family or a business ramifications are so important. Rather than just saying, gosh, I got one of those, install it, and a year later find out, wow, what did I get myself into? And I think that's why clients come to us sometimes to repair asset protection plans, or that our other advisors have suggested come to us to install an original one that will work with them long-term and blend with their other needs. Strazzeri Mancini, we help business owners, real estate owners, and families with taxable estates by resolving messes, transitions, protection, litigation, and complex tax issues. We look forward to meeting you and helping your family.